Imagine this. A time machine whisks you back 100 million years. You open the hatch and breathe in the air of the dinosaur era. All around you is a pristine paradise. Giant ferns, majestic araucarias, and somewhere in the distance, a roar that makes your heart pound. A dream, right? A chance to see a living Tyrannosaurus, to gently pet a Triceratops, carefully, to take the most epic selfie in human history.
Forget it. Forget the selfies, forget the exploration. Your sole purpose in this paradise is to survive, and you have only 5 minutes to do it. We tend to think the main danger of the Mesozoic era was toothy lizards. Oh, how wrong we are. Dinosaurs are just the icing on a cake of pure, concentrated terror. They're the last thing that will kill you. Let's start the timer and see how many threats await you in your first 300 seconds in the prehistoric world.
You've emerged from the time machine. The first thing you instinctively do is breathe. And this is your first and possibly your last mistake. We're accustomed to our cozy atmosphere with 21% oxygen and only 0.04% carbon dioxide. The Mesozoic atmosphere was different. During certain periods, for example the mid-Cretaceous, atmospheric CO2 levels were 4, even 6 times higher than today. That's a concentration you might find in a poorly ventilated, crowded room today. What does this mean for you? After a few breaths, you'll experience symptoms of hypercapnia, carbon dioxide poisoning. First, slight dizziness and a headache. Your breathing will become rapid and shallow. Your heart will race in an attempt to oxygenate your blood, which is getting less and less oxygen. Within a minute, you'll feel nausea, confusion, and panic. Your ability to think clearly and make decisions will rapidly disappear. You'll become disoriented, weak, and vulnerable. But wait, you might say, during some Mesozoic epochs, oxygen levels were higher, up to 30%. Isn't that great? Not exactly. First, such an oxygen-rich atmosphere made everything incredibly flammable. The slightest spark from a lightning strike could trigger a monstrous forest fire that would spread at an unimaginable speed. You would find yourself in an inferno. Second, your body, unaccustomed to such high oxygen levels, would experience hyperoxia. While that might sound like a superpower, in reality, it's toxic poisoning. Free radicals would begin to destroy the cells in your lungs, eyes, and nervous system. And finally, the smell. Forget the scent of pine and freshness. The Mesozoic world smelled of decay. Millions of tons of vegetation were constantly dying in the warm, humid climate, creating a pervasive, thick odor of compost and swamp. To this was added the pungent smell of sulfur from omnipresent volcanoes. This air isn't just difficult to breathe, it's physically oppressive. You were disoriented, nauseous, your head is pounding, and you are suffocating in a foul-smelling atmosphere that is either slowly poisoning you or ready to explode into flames at any moment. Not the best start. If the air doesn't kill you, the planet itself will. Welcome to the greenhouse world. In the Mesozoic, Earth had no polar ice caps. The average temperature was 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, 9 to 18 degrees Fahrenheit, higher than today. At the equator, temperatures could reach 40 to 45 degrees Celsius in the shade, of which there was almost none. Imagine the hottest, most humid sauna you've ever been in. Now imagine you have to live and run around in it. Humidity was close to 100%. Your body wouldn't be able to cool itself through sweat evaporation. It would simply pour off you in rivers. Dehydration wouldn't set in after hours, but after tens of minutes. You would lose liters of fluid, and with it, salts and minerals. Muscle cramps, heat stroke, and loss of consciousness would be only a matter of time.
But heat is only half the battle. The weather in the Mesozoic was extreme. Due to the enormous temperature difference between the ocean and land and the absence of ice caps that stabilized the climate, the planet was ravaged by storms that made modern hurricanes seem like a gentle breeze. Scientists call them hypercanes. Imagine a wall of rain, winds of 300 to 400 kilometers per hour, uprooting century-old trees, and tsunami waves crashing onto the coast. And such storms were not a rare occurrence, but the norm. Oh yes, and geology. Mesozoic Earth was geologically active. Supercontinents continued to rift apart. This meant constant earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and gigantic fissures in the Earth's crust. You could just be walking through the forest and fall into a crevice, or find yourself under a cloud of poisonous volcanic ash that burns your lungs. You are soaking wet, exhausted from the heat, on the verge of heat stroke and dehydration. A storm of apocalyptic proportions rages around you, and the ground beneath your feet could give way at any moment, and you still haven't encountered a single dinosaur.
You are plagued by hunger and thirst. All around is an abundance of greenery. It seems food is everywhere. You see a plant resembling a fern or a fruit similar to a pine cone. Salvation? No, it's a deadly trap. All the plants we eat today, apples, wheat, potatoes, berries, are the result of millions of years of coevolution with mammals. Our bodies are adapted to digest them. In the Mesozoic, flowering plants were scarce, and the fruits and vegetables we're accustomed to did not exist at all. The flora of that time was designed for giant herbivores with digestive systems akin to industrial chemical reactors. The leaves of ferns, cycads, and conifers were tough, fibrous, and most importantly, poisonous. To protect themselves from multi-ton dinosaurs, plants produced a cocktail of toxins, alkaloids, tannins, cyanogenic glycosides. What happens if you eat such a leaf? In best case scenario, severe stomach upset. In worst case scenario, convulsions, respiratory paralysis, and an agonizing death. Your body simply doesn't know how to fight against it. Even water is a huge problem. You see a crystal clear stream, but what's in it? It flows through thickets of poisonous plants, and their toxins are dissolved in the water. Plus, it's swarming with microorganisms we'll talk about later. A sip of such water could be your last. End of minute 3. You are surrounded by food you cannot eat and water you cannot drink. Every attempt to quench hunger or thirst is a game of Russian roulette, with 5 bullets in the chamber out of 6. You are still alive, but barely standing. You swat away an annoying insect and realize with horror that it's a mosquito the size of a small bird. Thanks to higher oxygen levels during some periods, insects and other arthropods reach gigantic sizes. Dragonflies with wingspans up to 70 centimeters, 28 inches. Millipedes 2 meters long. Spiders and scorpions the size of a dinner plate. They weren't necessarily aggressive towards you, but the mere sight of these creatures is enough to drive you insane. But the real danger isn't their size, it's what they carry. Mesozoic mosquitoes and ticks were carriers of diseases that our immune system has no clue about. Forget malaria or encephalitis, think about viruses, bacteria, and parasites that evolved for millions of years to infect reptiles. One bite from such a mosquito and a pathogen enters your bloodstream against which you have not a single protective cell. Your body has no files to identify this enemy. It's like launching a quantum future virus into 21st century computer code. Your immune system will either not react at all, or it will go haywire and trigger a cytokine storm that will kill you from the inside. Fever, sepsis, organ failure, all of this will happen with terrifying speed. And what about invisible threats? The water and soil teem with ancient bacteria and amoebas. The slightest scratch on your leg, into which dirt gets, can lead to gangrene that develops in hours, not days. End of minute 4. You are being bitten by giant insects, injecting a cocktail of prehistoric diseases into your blood. Any wound is a death sentence. Your body, weakened by the heat and poisoned air, begins to lose the war against invisible enemies. And now, when you're already on the brink, gasping for air, dehydrated, poisoned, feverish, when you are practically dead, only now they appear. And your first encounter will likely not be with a gigantic Tyrannosaurus rex. It simply wouldn't notice something as small as you or would deem it not worth the energy expenditure. No, you'll be noticed by medium-sized predators, a pack of Deinonychus or Utahraptors. And here's the scariest part. They aren't just killing machines. They are intelligent. They had complex social behavior. Upon seeing you, a strange, slow, bipedal creature without feathers or scales, they won't immediately attack. They'll begin to observe, to encircle, to study. You are not just food to them. You are a puzzle. And the solution to this puzzle is their sickle-shaped claws on their hind legs. Or perhaps, from the river into which you ventured in a desperate attempt to drink, the head of a giant crocodilomorph, Sarcosuchus or Deinosuchus, will emerge. Its jaws will clamp down on your leg with the force of an industrial press, and it will drag you underwater to drown you. Even herbivores are a deadly threat. You might accidentally startle an Ankylosaurus, and it will, without hesitation, shatter your bones with a swing of its bony club tail. Or you might find yourself in the path of a herd of Triceratops, multi-ton tanks that will simply trample you into the mud without even noticing. Well, if you're lucky, you'll hear heavy footsteps that shake the ground. From behind the trees, he will appear, the Tyrannosaurus. And at that moment, you'll understand the full irony. All the previous threats, the air, the climate, the plants, the insects, gave you a chance, an illusion of struggle. A T-Rex gives nothing. Its binocular vision, focused on movement, will spot you instantly. Its sense of smell will catch the scent of your sweat and fear, and its bite, the strongest among all terrestrial animals in history, will leave nothing of you but a bloody stain. 5 minutes. 5 minutes during which the Mesozoic world would test your resilience and deem you unfit. We are children of the Cenozoic, the age of mammals. Our bodies, our biochemistry, our immune system, all are the result of 65 million years of evolution in a world that became cooler, safer, and more boring. We look at dinosaurs with awe, but we forget that they were the masters of a world utterly alien and deadly to us. This was not our planet. Traveling to the prehistoric past is not a safari park. It's a one-way ticket to the most beautiful and most terrifying hell imaginable. So next time you watch Jurassic Park, just be glad you're doing it from the comfort of your couch, and not there. Because there, you wouldn't last 5 minutes.